What is going on, guys? BK Voice over here, and free agency opens up tomorrow. Well, at least the legal tampering period of free agency opens up tomorrow, which is where we can go ahead and teams can start negotiations with free agents to sign them to contracts. I'm sure it's almost certain that they have talked to these players ahead of time, but anyways, I just kind of wanted to go through the top list of free agents. I got this list from PFF and just added a couple of additional notes to there, so we can go ahead and take a brief look at this free agency class position by position. Starting alphabetically, we'll start with the center position. Ryan Jensen is obviously going to be the biggest get for the center position in free agency. With Tom Brady, the news coming out a couple hours ago about him unretiring, I would be surprised if he doesn't go back to the Buccaneers. On top of this, you got, of course, Posick as a free agent, but I think my three top guys to target, since also Jason Kelsey is not a free agent, he signed a 1-year, $14 million deal with the Eagles to stay there. Ben Jones of the Titans, Brian Allen of the Rams, and Bradley Bozeman of the Ravens would be my top three gets at that center position. And goddamn, we need it because we do not have anybody signed. I guess Dakota Shepley can play. I guess Dakota Shepley, if we sign him, if we tender him as an exclusive rights free agent, he would be your backup, but we need to get better at center. As far as cornerback goes, cornerback is one of the most loaded position groups in this class. Obviously topped by none other than Patriots phenom J.C. Jackson. There's no way in heck we're going to go after him. He is going to be asking for Jalen Ramsey money, and we should not be the one to give it to him. Stephon Gilmore, he's intriguing, but he's old. Definitely want to be looking elsewhere, I would say. Carlton Davis is good, but I think he's going to stay in Tampa. Casey Hayward, I'm not interested. Darius Williams could be fine as maybe like a slot corner on this team. Steven Nelson would be fine. But DJ Reed and Sidney Jones are also on here. So it's a pretty loaded cornerback class. Lots of guys to go after. Obviously, I would prioritize getting DJ Reed and Sidney Jones back. But there are a lot of decent options to go after if we don't get either of them back. Defensive tackle is fine. Akeem Hicks is by far and away the best 3-tech in this class. If you watched my previous series about my offseason plan before it got completely thrown overboard with the Russell Wilson trade, I had Akeem Hicks. I had us picking up Akeem Hicks in free agency. I gave him like 2 years, 2 years, 16 million, 8 million a year, and go from there. But aside from that, Calais Campbell could also be a really good option. BJ Hill and DJ Jones are more run stuffers, but they really have like shined in other positions. But yeah, lots of other decent enough options. You can go get Quentin Jefferson again. He's playing for the Raiders. He actually had a pretty decent season. He had like 6 sacks, but like it was like a Rasheem Green year. When he wasn't getting sacks, he wasn't doing anything. Anyways, moving on to another pretty stacked position group, and that is defensive end or edge. Obviously, the top of this is utterly stacked. Von Miller's great. Von Miller is amazing. Chandler Jones is amazing. Jadeveon Clowney would be an interesting reunion back in Seattle. Randy Gregory, I think, could be a really sneaky pickup. Hassan Reddick, I think, is my primary guy to target. There are also plenty of other good options. Harold Landry is obviously off the board now because he signed that massive deal with the Titans, 5 years, $87.5 million. So yeah, we'll definitely keep an eye on that here. There's also a couple like second-tier guys that you could go after. JPP is really, I think, a sleeper. I don't understand why they have him so far down. You could easily go and pick him up. Jerry Hughes from the Bills could also be good. Derek Barnett could be a great outside linebacker since we're playing more 3-4. Could reunite with Jacob Martin, but why would you do that? Moving on to guard, interior line is less intriguing to me. Obviously, Brandon Scherf at the top is by far and away like my top pickup. I actually think Ted Karras re-signed with the Patriots, so I don't think he's on the board. I'll need to double check there. Laken Tomlinson is obviously number 2, but I don't know if he's going to, I don't know if Shane Waldron would be intrigued with him. I think that he doesn't really fit the system they're trying to go for. He's a mountain of a man, but he's not a good move blocker. So, yeah. Ted Karras, Quentin Spain. We could always go get Mark Lewinsky again from the Colts. That would be kind of fun. Also, don't be surprised if Ali Marpet comes out of retirement now that Tom's back. Linebacker, obviously, with Bobby Wagner dropping. I'm not including Bobby Wagner on this list because he doesn't have a team at the time, so technically he doesn't qualify as an unrestricted free agent. Devondre Campbell had an amazing season, but he's since then, prior to this, he's been primarily a journeyman, so I don't know if there's going to be a team that's going to pay him big bucks. I would much rather go younger and target somebody in the draft to fill that other inside linebacker position next to Brooks. All right, moving on to offensive tackle. The second best left tackle in this class has gone off the board in Orlando Brown Jr. He got franchise tagged by the Chiefs. Of course, still your best tackle in free agency is Teron Armstead of the Saints. Dude is a massive stud. I think he's earned himself a big payday. Injuries are a bit of a concern, but that I don't think that's going to stop him from getting a big-time deal. Dwayne Brown. I know in my previous series I said to re-sign Dwayne Brown, but that has since changed since I only wanted to keep him around because Russ wanted him, and if Russ is gone, there's no reason to re-sign a 37-year-old left tackle. We can get younger at the position. There's lots of great options in the draft. Morgan Moses, if you want a good right tackle, go for it, but I want to see Curhan give a shot, so I would be fine bringing in somebody cheaper to compete with him. Eric Fisher, I think, is going to go back to the Colts. Trent Brown, I don't know what's going to happen with him. Maybe somebody will make an offer for him, but yeah, tackle, the top end of the tackle class at least has not very intriguing. And then once past there, you get it gets bad really quickly. You got Riley Reif, Jermaine Ifedi, Brandon Shell. Yeah, not very nice. Here's the fun part. Quarterback. Definitely didn't think we'd need this, but here we are. So, going in, I do agree with PFF. I do think Jameis Winston is the best quarterback in this free agency class right now. It's not a great quarterback free agency class, but I digress. Followed by Teddy Bridgewater, Marcus Mariota. I would be very happy with any of these three to bring in any of these three or maybe a few others and just have them compete, see what they can do. But I'm also a fan of, again, drafting somebody, maybe Malik Willis in the draft if he's there at 9. If not, then waiting until early second round to pick somebody up. I think there'll be some decent test items that we can do in the second round that I would feel pretty okay with. Running back. I don't know if Cordell Patterson considers himself more of a wide receiver or running back. I have him on here as a running back just for my own sanity. I don't see us getting him. Leonard Fournette. I am more inclined to just re-sign Rashad Penny and get somebody cheap in the draft. Marlon Mack is also a very fun pickup. I think you can get him for really cheap. But aside from that, it's just a bunch of backups as far. There's no, James Conner, I think, could be a 1. I think these top 3 could be a RB1, but I think the rest of them it's running back by committee, you know. Next up, we got safety. Pretty stacked at safety. I mean, just defensive backs in general, I think this is a pretty stacked position. I mean, when Quandre Diggs... Okay, first of all, I don't understand why PFF thinks that Diggs is super overrated. They just don't like Seahawks players, in general, I found. Yeah, Marcus Williams being the best safety in this draft, I'm fine with that. Tyrann Mathieu up there. I don't know why May is ahead of Diggs. He's not better than Diggs. But yeah, I think he can go cheaper. Devin McCourty is obviously off the board now because he got re-signed by the Patriots. Patriots or Panthers? I forget what team he's on. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the Patriots. Yeah, some decent older time you can get. Jaquiski Tart we play him a lot. Some Malik Hooker. I don't even know who Houston Carson is. Xavier Woods, Justin Reed of the Texans. I think he's likely going to go back. Honey Badger, of course. So yeah, pretty stacked position. Tight end went from probably one of the strongest positions in this free agency period to by far and away one of the weakest, just because between all of the pre-free agency signings and all of the franchise tagging, yeah, there's not a whole lot of great options left. Your top tight ends are obviously Rob Gronkowski, who I highly doubt is going to go to any other team other than the Buccaneers, especially now that Tom Brady has especially now that Tom Brady's back. So your top tight ends are Gerald Everett, who has a fumbling problem, Evan Ingram, who's bad, Max Williams, who's fine, but he's a tight end 2 at best, CJ Uzama's good, Mo Alley Cox is decent, Tanyan's good. It's just, none of this really, gets me excited, you know? Yeah. Not a great position to have need in this free agency period. And then next up, we got wide receiver, who was pretty strong going in, but now I think has gotten considerably weaker, especially since Michael Gallup has signed that deal. But I doubt there's going to be any big moves at wide receiver. I don't think anybody's going to get Allen Robinson. I mean, if Devontae Adams did not get franchise tagged, I think this would be one of the strongest free agency position groups by far. But he's not. Allen Robinson and Odell are probably your best wide receivers left in this free agency class. Antonio Brown is fine, but he's decent, but he's mentally unstable. Juju is fine, but he's mentally unstable. Christian Kirk is okay. Chark is a decent 2. He can play wide receiver 1. Will Fuller, I'd be okay with signing Will Fuller for cheap. Dude's made of tissue paper. I wouldn't give him anything major. Jamison Crowder or Marquez Valdes-Scantling could be good. Russell Gage is not going to leave the Falcons. They would be stupid to lose Julio Jones and then to lose Calvin Ridley and then to lose Russell Gage would be bad. That would be really bad. Emmanuel Sanders is old, but he can still kick it. Yeah, all in all, if you're looking for a wide receiver 3, which I think the Seahawks are going to do, I think you're in heaven. I am simping for Braxton Berrios, just a little bit. I think he would be a fantastic return man for sure. So that's just a quick overview of all the different position groups. In case you're curious, the Buccaneers have the most free agents in the top 200 per PFF, and the Lions have the fewest. They only have 2. So yeah, that's all I got. If you guys enjoyed, I'll be sure to be posting stuff on my Twitter as these deals are made starting tomorrow. Of course, be sure to follow me on Twitter, all my social medias, at BKVoiceover on Twitter and at BKVoiceover on TikTok. Really appreciate you guys. Thanks. Have a great one. Go Hawks.